Hey, this is Thunder Bob with BikerNet TV. You know that Batman has the Batcave and Bandit's got the Bandit Lair, I guess. This is where it all happens, huh, Keith?
That's right. That's right. Everything happens here. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Okay, that wraps it up for this week's edition of BikerNet TV. No, it doesn't. We got a lot of things to talk about here. We just got back from Bonneville. Salt Shaker won last year. This year, the assault weapon won. You have the world's fastest panhead. We're looking at it now. It's in various stages of, it looks like cleaning and pulling apart. Why don't you tell us what's going on since you got back from Bonneville?
A lot of things are going on since we got back. It had to be torn down for inspection to make sure that it was the CC level that we said it was. So the bike is still sort of in disarray, but we're going to go through it. We're going to get it tested in a wind tunnel. We're going to change some of the panels. Pretty much the drivetrain is just fine the way it is. We are going to put a Pegasus fuel injection system on it. We're going to do some tuning. I'm probably going to ship it to Barry Wardlaw of Accurate Engineering in Dothan, Alabama, and he's going to do some extensive tuning on it and then take it to the Maximum Mile for some runs out there. And I'll fly out for that.
When is that going to happen?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Okay, so those of you who have a calendar, put it somewhere between now and then.
That's it. That's it. But we do have some more aerodynamic elements we want to add to it. I may change the oil tank, but it's just kind of a refinement effort across the board. We may change the fairing slightly, and then get it out there and test it some more.
If you had to do anything different, what's the one thing that stands out in your mind now that you've had a chance to begin tearing it down and seeing what you have seen? If you could go back to just before, or the week before, what would you do differently, if anything?
I would have really impressed on God to straighten out the salt conditions, and then I think we would have done mighty fine.
So it's always a God factor, one way or another. Well, let's see. We've got a lot of really interesting things to take a look at here. Why don't you give us the grand tour?
Absolutely. The assault weapon is absolutely a big project, and it'll be a continuing project.
Okay, we got a bare bones frame sitting here in front of us, Keith. I know you've got some plans for it. It's not going to stay this way forever. Tell us what you're going to do here.
Well, this is one of our projects for 08. We're actually going to take this frame and we're going to build an FXR from a used Dynaglide. We start out with a used Dynaglide. We're going to turn it into an FXR. We're going to add bags to it. It's going to be a very reliable, comfortable, rubber-mounted touring bike, but it'll be a custom bike at the same time. One of the most popular things right now in our industry is touring bikes. There's a lot of bagger parts coming out, and we're going to work with Redneck Engineering and Custom Chrome. We're working with Harley Davidson, has remanufactured the engine. It's going to be a straight 80-inch engine. Jim's Machine has rebuilt the transmission for it. This puppy, Legend Suspension, is working with us on the shocks for this bike. The front end is going to be custom chrome, and we're going to build a pretty nice but a long distance riding motorcycle.
I see the seat pan here. Is this going to be a one-up?
Actually, that's interesting that you brought up the seat pan, because this is for a project for myself, and this project is going to be, I call it my mud flap girl bike, and it's going to be a little chopper. But these are actually from Knockout Motorcycles. This is their shock absorbers. It's probably going to be a rigid frame or a rigid styled motorcycle. We're actually challenging ourselves to try to come up with a bike that may not be just a swing on with shocks, and we really want to stay away from the softtail configuration. So we may go in the direction of how Indian used to have their suspension, right over the axle on sort of a rigid frame. We're working on some different ideas for that, but it's called my mud flap girl because it's going to have a lot of mud flap girls on the bike, and it's going to be a fun chopper, light, agile. You know, it's designed to be.
Which one is due for completion first?
This one is it's farther along than the mud flap girl right now, so we're going to get into this one right away. But also in 08, we'll start the mud flap girl bike.
And once you build this, is this the kind of bike you intend to ride to Sturgis?
No, I'm actually building this bike for Nyla's brother, who has been riding a 1962 Panhead for 25 years. And this is the first motorcycle he's getting that's other than that Panhead. And he bought a home in Oregon. He lives in Los Angeles, and he really liked to have a bike he could ride to Oregon. So that's what we're going to build him.
Very cool. Can't wait to see this as it progresses through the build stages.